Hi everyone, Alon here from Panda. We're here at Pressure Point and we've got Bridget Murphy with us. She's representing the head of HR for one of South Africa's most beloved brands, maybe even in the world, Nando's. She's had a great career at some of SA's leading companies, mainly in the retail sector. She'll tell us more. Really excited and thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah,
so just a little bit around the career. Has predominantly been manufacturing and retail for over 20 years. But besides career, I'm also a mom, I'm also a wife, I'm an auntie, I'm a sister. But again, I've had a phenomenal career to date. I've been with Nando's in October, in fact, it'll be 2 years. And a proudly iconic brand of South Africa. And as we always say, Nando's, it's the people that make the chicken.
Yeah, and I think your intro was apt as well, right? You're a person as well, not just your career. And
absolutely.
The people make the chicken, and there's something special about that Nando's culture. And I think you feel it if you visit the head office, you feel it if you visit any of the restaurants. I mean, where do you even start getting that right?
Yeah, so that's so great to hear. We always say at Nando's that we're an inside-outside brand. So really what that means is what you as consumers see externally is wacky marketing, hopefully amazing food, amazing staff. We refer to them as our Nandockers. So what you see externally, is really the brand. But we too have that exact same focus internally, and it's our internal brand, and the two are aligned. So there's no contradictions around, what happens externally doesn't happen internally. And it's an amazing brand, and the culture is innate. It's how we roll. It's how we do things. It's not stuck up in some board in some boardroom, and you get a test once a month. What are the values? What is our culture? How should you behave? I mean, we do reinforce it through various platforms and various messaging, but it's really who we are.
Yeah, and I think it's that authenticity, right? I think that's what you feel, that it's not forced.
No.
Which is amazing, right? It's not a small organization. We're chatting earlier, it's over 7,500 people.
Yep.
Not easy to get that right in that size organization.
Yeah.
Restaurants across the country, you're not seeing those staff in person. I know you leverage a lot of technology to get your message across. I'd love for you to share a bit more about that.
Sure. So, we're really on a tech-enabled journey in the people space specifically. So we are trying to automate all tedious administrative processes, to free the HR team up to go out into our restaurants and to be with our Nandockers, and to support them as and when they're required. So we don't believe in paper-based stuff, and really want to digitize and automate as much as possible. So we've recently introduced a new HR and payroll system. We go live in October with our head office, our central support teams, and in our restaurants we go live in March this year. And really the intention is to free up that restaurant manager to support the Nandockers, and to provide the best service to our guests. So we really don't want them bogged down, administratively. And we also believe that through this technology we are able to get data. And really in this day and age, we manage the business through the insights that the data gives us. And the analytics that we obtain through the data. And we have various platforms, Alon, that we make use of. So we have a WhatsApp line that every single 7,000 odd Nandockers subscribe to. All we require is your updated mobile number, and we use that platform for short video clips, for training, for messaging, for our reward and recognition programs that we have running in our restaurants. And it's short and sharp messaging. We provide the Wi-Fi in our restaurants, so nobody has to use their mobile data in any which shape or form. Once a year we run a huge climate survey. We start gearing around about October. and we administer it in January every year for a month. And we have about an 80% participation
That's
rate,
amazing.
which is really high. You know, most surveys participation could be between 50 and 69%. So anything in excess of that is really, really great. And our non-dockers complete that, and they give us open and honest feedback, and we listen and we hear what they tell us, and what we need to change or to do differently around the feedback that they give us. Just speaking of that, Alon, you know, it really is about the people that make the chicken, and every line manager in Nando's has a people KPI in their broader business KPIs. Yeah, and this climate survey is one of them. And so you as a leader in Nando's are measured on how you lead and how you treat your people in the business. So the WhatsApp platform is really cool tech that we use. We also make use of our internal radio station called Heatwave Radio. We have a really cool DJ called Mzwa, and he's on the radio every morning between sort of 7 and 10 as we open up our restaurants around preparation. And he plays like cool tunes and funky music. Sometimes we open with a prayer. Sometimes we have interviews with other Nandockers. Sometimes I'm on there, or you know, other business stakeholders. And really the intention with that is to get everybody inspired and motivated for the day. So we use that platform. We also do outside broadcasts on our radio station. So if there's a special event, we will go out and all drive off and go to Vryburg or, you know, remote places too. And we have outside broadcasts, and we have cake and cool drink, and our Nandockers just absolutely love the attention and being interviewed on our radio. You know, so the radio platform is really, really cool. You know, communication platform as well. And then also on our tech journey, from a people practice, our performance management platform is called Gold Management. It has been custom designed and built for us. And so that's where we manage the annual performance process, where KPIs are housed. Also a very, very cool platform. Development plans are created, on this platform as well, where both the line manager and the Nandocker have access to that to drive their own growth and their development within Nando's. And we also use that very same platform also custom made for us around talent management practices, and where we need to ensure we have successors in place, and what are we doing to grow and lead and teach new leaders within the business.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot there, and I think there's so much. I almost want to pause and go through each of them, and maybe starting with you mentioned like one of the first things that you're looking to do, or the big focus areas are getting people away from the admin and enabling them to drive impact. You gave the example of the payroll system and the time that takes. But I think that's so powerful, and it goes back to your people first culture, that you want your line managers and your HR managers to connect with people and drive real impact as people to people, not be caught up in their day-to-day. So, I mean, that's so powerful. And I think a lot of organizations lose sight of that.
Yeah, and if I can interrupt you there, Alon, because we are a youth employer within South Africa, we have quite a high labor churn, which we are happy with and we support. We don't want you to be a front griller for the rest of your life, but for the time that you are with us, we want you to have the most amazing experience. But because of that churn, we tend to have a lot of administration that we need to have in place, and freeing up a line manager to do this, on a digitized platform is, more expedient than, papers and scanning in documents, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's got multiple impacts, right? I think it goes back to your point in data, right? If this is a manual process, you've got a data capture thereafter, and there are mistakes or just inertia or laziness, which will mean that things are not captured. So you're getting the data, plus you're freeing up time to drive impact. So it's just such a something for listeners to take away. How can you look at your processes? What's taking up your people's time? What's taking up managers' time? And is their time focused in areas that matter, right? And in a way that's going to drive impact. Because if not, then you should probably relook at it. And amazing that an organization of your size that is able to do that. I think any organization is.
And then, using that data and the analytics from the data to draw conclusions from, and to provide that information to the business leaders, and the insights that we derive from that information, and what should we be doing or changing or doing differently. What are the trends and the themes that we are seeing in the people space, and being clever and more strategically focused on what the data is telling us.
Yeah, no, I think the data and having that data at that scale is amazing. But I guess the question I have is, well, what do you do with it? How do you close the loop with employees? Clearly you're doing something right, because if you weren't actioning the feedback that you were getting there, one, would not be the culture that there is, and two, people wouldn't bother to fill out the survey, because why would they fill it out if nothing's going to change, if there is an issue? So what do you do with that data once it's in your hands?
Yeah, so from the climate survey, which just, by the way, is called Heart and Soul. Give us,
Gotta love
heart
the
and soul.
Okay.
So we take the information extremely seriously, and that's why we get such good participation. So I believe that our Nandokas can see that issues that they've raised, both positive and negative. Positive, we want to keep doing more of the good things, but any negative issues that they raise, we address. So in every single restaurant, and we confidentially about 300 odd restaurants in South Africa, we go to every single restaurant and we unpack the results in every single restaurant.
Wow. Okay.
With focus groups in those restaurants, and we understand what the issues are, and some are quick fixes and quick wins, and some are longer term. But we indicate that we've heard you, and we value the feedback, and we're going to do something about this.
That's amazing.
And we do.
It's amazing that you go to each of those restaurants. It's really, if you've got to do one a day, pretty much.
Pretty much 365 days in a year.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, but that's really the role of the HR business partner, and this is sexy HR work, versus the administrative component, and this is real value add, in the business. So it frees them up to do this.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for employees to see that, what they've done something and there's now action and there's face time, because I think what you can potentially lose sometime with surveys is it's impersonal, right? And you're completing it, in this case in WhatsApp or on a computer, and then you don't really hear about it again. There's no human interaction to it, but I love the way that you're using the data to then translate that into action and dialogue to drive change.
And reiterating the confidentiality and the anonymity, insofar as information. So nobody's going to be held account, or, so-and-so said this. It's totally anonymous, and I think they get comfort in that.
It's
in
important
that too.
that.
Yeah.
People need to feel safe.
Yeah. And they do.
Okay. And I think, again, what do you want as an employer? If your people feel safe, you're getting something right. I want to just share a bit more about this WhatsApp line, because I think it's so accessible. Everyone has WhatsApp. There's no app to download. It's easy. How are you using it? Because I think you've touched on so many different ways that it really is the cornerstone of your communication with employees.
Communication and our reward and recognition platform. So there's about 10 options on the WhatsApp line. So you can check your leave balance on there. So that's quite transactional.
Oh, wow.
You can update your personal details on there. So we rely on that quite heavily in terms of mobile numbers changing. We have our in-store reward and recognition programs and their various incentives. So you can check how you are tracking insofar as that. Our wellness line is also housed on this WhatsApp line. So we have a comprehensive employee assistance program in place for our Nandokas called Sia Pila, and then we look at wellness as a whole. So you can make use of that. If we're doing any sort of dreaded, sort of more serious types of training, so recently we rolled out our sexual harassment program, and we made use of that platform to show video clips around what this means and how you can whistleblow around any irregularities in your environment. So we do use it for training too. I'll come back to training in a bit. And any other important communication that we need to get out quite quickly, into the business. So if we're introducing a new standard operating procedure or potentially a new product line, and we have to communicate that and what the point of sale messaging needs to be, we make use of the WhatsApp line for that. We do within our restaurants have an LMS, a learning management portal, which is based in the restaurant, and there's certain mandatory training that each of our Nandokas needs to go through.
Is that a physical computer that?
Yeah, it's a tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's mandatory sort of governance type of training that they do need to complete, but we also make use of that for product training. When we launch new products into the restaurant. There's about a 70% engagement level on that platform.
Oh, wow,
so it's also well frequented, and it's quite entrenched in the business.
Yeah. Another point that I want to go back to is that you mentioned, I think Nando's are probably one of the largest youth employers in the country. So how do you set youth up for success in your environment? I think you go above and beyond to make that restaurant environment, which is a tough environment, a happy environment and a safe environment. But how do you set up these new joiners for success?
Sure, that's a lovely question. I'm going to do my best to answer. So I'm going to take just a step back. We believe in Nando's that as our business grows, so too does our opportunity to employ more youth into our business. So we have a formula that for every one restaurant that we build, on average, it depends, on the format, but on average we employ around about 28 people per restaurant. On average, we say that 28 people support 7 other additional people in their family. So if you times that all out, by opening one restaurant, we impact 168 people's lives. Just by one restaurant. So our intention is to always grow, that we can keep employing people and providing opportunities that they in turn can support the people that they support. So we are proudly a youth employer. We have various job portals that we are affiliated to and associated to, Harambee being one of them. And our intention is to, teach them about hospitality, teach them about the restaurant industry, teach them about standard operating procedures and so forth, and to learn and to grow, but to also be authentic to you, who you are. And so we encourage you, if you're a poet, come onto the radio station and be a poet. If you're a musician or you're a rapper, which we've got such talent in our business and in the youth out there, we will go out and broadcast you. We run competitions where you are encouraged to bring your other gifts to the workplace. And our Nandokas absolutely love that. If we're creating a new product line or we're creating new uniforms, we ask them to support around the design process, and they can win competitions, all of that. So, just gearing ourselves to the South African youth. Even if I go back to the people space, most of our training is video content that is highly relatable to the youth. So it's not big, old school manuals and written format. It's digital, in a voice I think that they understand. So, but I reiterate that we want you to be authentic and your whole person at work. And just be who you are.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to your point around safety and psychological safety and trust, which is at the cornerstone of all of that. But I just want to touch on some of that training that you do, because I think those skills, while you're gearing individuals for that restaurant environment, those skills are skills that you need anywhere, right? No matter what they do thereafter, if you can follow a process, right? If you can hold a conversation, build a relationship, build rapport, hold yourself accountable, be disciplined. Like, these are all amazing skills that individuals are gaining through this, their first job with you. It's really...
Absolutely, and you're hitting it bang on the button. Just sometimes getting to the restaurant is a chore. Every day, to have that discipline, to get up, to get into your uniform, to show up proudly in the workplace, to deal with all the challenges that you've had to leave behind. Just getting to the restaurant can be very challenging for our staff, and the same, going home at the end of the shift. So for the time that you are with us, the 8 hours in the day that you are with us, we want you to have a glorious time, and be proud of the work that you do, be proud of the products that you are producing, be proud of the brand, and delight our customers, even though inherently you may not feeling in top form that day. So we do our best to energize you and to motivate you, but we know that life is hard, especially in South Africa.
That is. But so, what I love about Nando's is that you really care, right? And you want to brighten people's day, and that applies to staff, that applies to customers. But, what are some examples of ways that you brighten the day for staff across your restaurants?
So, lovely question, Alon. It's one of the things that we do in Nando's is we have what we refer to as our National Grillers Challenge.
Okay.
And so this is for the folk who are literally in the back grilling chicken every day. And I mean, it's a very rigid, standard operating procedure that they need to follow. But we run a competition in each of the regions. It's crazy fun. The hype and the excitement around that is created. And then each region will have a geographical winner. And we then...
So how do you determine
various judging panels, tasting panels.
Okay.
Our auditors, the food auditors check that all the processes have been followed, all the health and hygiene, all of that has been followed. And then, obviously is a tasting panel. So there's proper judging that takes place.
And what sauce do they use?
Well, that's what the judges prefer.
Okay,
so is it
depends,
lemon and herb? Is it mild? Is it hot? Is it extra hot?
Okay.
They must make according to how the judge is requesting.
Okay.
Anyway, and then so these winners from all over the country, we bring them here to our head office, central support, where some of these people have never left their home villages or their hometowns. They've never traveled on an aeroplane, let alone own a suitcase. And we bring them here to Johannesburg for a week, and they have a crazy adventure. We take them to our various suppliers, and we take them to our sauce factory in Pretoria, so where the Nando sauces are produced. And they spend a whole week just understanding, processes and practices that they may not be exposed to. Anyway, and then that culminates, they arrive at central support to all bells and whistles, to all fanfare and cheerleaders they arrive, and the whole day is spent with 4 judges, judging panel, and then we get to the one winner, who is the Grillers Champion of the Year.
Okay, wow.
And so we have 4 this year. And then Nando's globally has an international grillers challenge. Wow. So where the winners from each country now get together, and there can be only one winner. And so that's currently taking place in 2 weeks' time. So our 4 Nandokas, our winners, are going to Malaysia. Malaysia is hosting this year, and they're going to bring home the flame. We're going to keep it South Africa.
Not the only one that we need to be focused on. Okay,
Correct.
We'll watch that space.
And just the winner of that is is just the recognition and the flame and the glory, as we say. But part of the prize money is we can either give you a tertiary money towards a tertiary type of qualification, or we give you money towards a home renovation.
Okay.
And
Really
certainly,
life-changing stuff.
absolutely, in the last 2 years, our our winners have come from KwaZulu-Natal, very, very rural areas, and we've done a home makeover, and they've
Amazing.
really, really appreciated that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love that. It's, I mean, obviously amazing, but like it's the recognition, right? And that's ultimately, it's so, so important. And again, it's something that I think easy to overlook as a business because you're so busy in your day to day. You need to sell chickens, you need to grill chickens, but you also need to recognize your people and thank them for going above and beyond, right? And recognize those star performers.
Absolutely. But just, just the hype and the energy that an event of this nature brings about it's goosebumps. It's incredible.
I'm excited.
Good.
I think something else which I just want to touch on, because I think it's important to the culture. I think it's important when you speak to Nandokas, people from within the brand, like, is the work that you do around the community, because I think it goes to the Nando's value prop. So do you want to speak to some of that and how that's not just something that you do on the side as an organization, it's something which is very much a business imperative of the organization?
It's how we do business. So, most corporates in South Africa would refer to as their CSI programs.
Yeah.
We don't have that in place. And really our ethos is around changing lives, and that's how we see our social responsibility. There is so much that we do.
Yeah.
We want our business to grow, firstly, like I indicated, and we use that scenario in terms of changing lives by the number of people that we employ and the impact that has on people out there. It's really just how we do business. So Nando's was started 36 years ago in a small little restaurant in Rosettenville in Johannesburg, and we believe that as South Africans we can be really proud of South Africa, of what we do here, what we produce here. And we have a saying in Nando's, from Rosettenville to the world. So we have a very big focus on South African designers, on South African art, and local artists that we support. So all our furniture and all our art is made here in Southern Africa, and it is exported to Nando's, across the world.
Yeah.
Our chilies, our African bird's eye chili, is produced in Southern Africa, so predominantly Mozambique, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and then South Africa. Predominantly small subsistence farmers, but once again we are taking that bird's eye chili from Southern Africa, to the rest of the world. So I mean we have really various initiatives in place. But it's about showcasing South Africa and our talent and what we do here, and that we could be proudly South African and hold our heads up high globally. And it's just woven into our fabric. It's the Perry thread that binds us.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect way to end it, right, on a proudly South African moment with a proudly South African brand that's flying the flag high globally. And thank you for doing that. I think it sets the benchmark for South Africans to follow in Nando's footsteps. So thanks so much, Bridget. Really enjoyed the conversation. It was lovely having you here.
Aww.
I'm sure everyone learned so much. I think the incredible organization that we do see from the outside, and I think meeting you see the inside, and it is like the outside. But I think what they don't see is the way you use technology, the way you use data, the way you're building this culture in a way that's accessible, relatable, but still authentic. So thank you very much.